this way. I can go up there, yeah.
Does anybody have any requests or things you particularly want to focus on? Parts of the body that are bothering you? Shoulders?
Always.
Always shoulders, right? Shoulders.
I'm a left hand, I'm gonna be nursing.
Okay, nurse away. Just, okay. All right, and then here she is. Here comes Debbie. All right, wonderful. Okay. If it's too warm, I can unplug that. Is it too warm?
It's I'm gonna be needed in here. We're good.
Okay,
We're good.
well, if it gets too much, just
Yeah.
turn it off. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Welcome to this gentle yoga class. So I have two little kids. You probably heard me talking about how my 4-year-old likes to zoom in. And so one thing that's happened that I've become more aware of about myself since parenting, among many things, is that I have a real sound sensitivity. And when you have little kids, man, sometimes it can get like super overwhelming, right? Just the decibel level and the pitch. And so I bought myself these earbuds, these little like earplugs that just take the edge off. And it was one of the best things I ever bought. Yeah, because I can still hear and talk, but it's like that scream or that whine is now just like muffled just enough that it doesn't really trigger me into this sensory overwhelm. I lost one this weekend and I immediately ordered another pair. I'm like, I can't even wait to find these. And it reminded me that this is actually one of the limbs of yoga. There's 8 limbs of yoga, and asana is just this one small part, this 8th of the practice. And there's the 5th limb of yoga is called Pratyhara, and it means withdrawal of the senses. So I was like, oh, see, I'm practicing yoga when I tune my kids, when you tune my kids out. But it really does change the way that we perceive and process the world and the way in which our nervous system functions. And I think that it's very easy to forget how much sensory stimulation, stimuli, and information we're taking in on a minute-by-minute basis in the current state of our world. You know, think about how much you're taking in visually, auditorily, you know, through just the sensations on our skin, and how different people are really wired differently in terms of our sensitivity to these things. Like in my 20s, I really had to stop watching the news or be very mindful about how I took that information in because it was having a real negative effect on me. And so now I listen to the news. That's how I get my news. I don't need to see it. If I like, there are things that I've never watched, I'll never take in visually. I don't need to see it. And I think just knowing that about ourselves, knowing how we take in this information is really valuable and important. And when we come to our yoga mat, especially when we come together and practice in a group and we set aside this time to say, you know what, I'm going to take this moment to close my eyes, right? Just doing that, just the practice of, okay, let's bring the attention inward. Let's withdraw. That's a practice of Pratyhara, this withdrawal of the senses. So we're going to play with that today, with our senses in our practice. So please, if you have not done so already, take a comfortable seat. And I encourage you to elevate your hips so that the tops of your thighs are above your knees. You can move the flesh away from your sitting bones. Sit up nice and tall. And close your eyes. And simply notice the difference. Maybe you want to open your eyes again and then close them. Becoming aware of how removing this one sense changes our perception of reality. And then feel the parts of your body that are connected to the ground as we bring our awareness to this sense of touch. You feel your props beneath your seat. Feel the sensation of your clothing on your legs and your body. Maybe you can feel your mat or your blanket on your feet. You took your socks off. Notice the sensation of the air on your skin. You can tune in to whether or not it feels warm or cool. Even noticing that lingering humidity in the air from the class before. Shift your awareness to your breath. Feel your breath as you breathe in and expands your body. And as you breathe out and your lungs and ribs contract. Begin to feel this pulsation, this spanda, expansion and contraction. We can go an entire day, a week, sometimes a lifetime without really being aware of our breath. What changes when we shift our perspective, our perception, and notice our breath? Bring your awareness to sound. Opening your ears and allowing all the sounds of the studio to come in. One of the tricky parts about learning to meditate is allowing everything that happens to become part of the meditation experience rather than thinking like, oh, this is ruining it because I can't stop hearing the tick, tick, tick of the clock. Or if someone's phone pings, and then it takes us out of the experience. Instead, can we simply open our ears and allow all of the sounds to flood in and practice being present and calm and still with all of our sensory experience. Even here with your eyes closed, can you bring your awareness to sight? What happens if you bring your internal gaze up towards your third eye? What happens if you bring it back and down, as if you could look down the center of your body, as if you were gazing into a well? And then notice if there's any area of the body that's still holding tension, or your shoulders hiking up towards your ears. Can you soften them back and down? Is your tongue pressing to the roof of your mouth or the back of your teeth? Could you relax your tongue and let it get heavy and wide on the lower palate? Know that these areas that hold a lot of tension and tightness don't often want to relax easily. This is why we just continue to practice. And then see if you could hear the sound of your own breath. If you could practice Ujjayi breath, which is a yogic breath that flows in and out through the nose, if that's available. But there's a little constriction in the throat. You could think about it as if you're drawing the breath down the back of the throat, so that you could start to hear this ah, ha, as you breathe. As you breathe in and you focus on the sound of ah, imagine that you're drawing energy down through your crown chakra. And that as you breathe out with the sound of ha, that the energy continues to move down and out through your base chakra. As you draw the energy in on the inhale to the top of the head, it cleanses you. And as you breathe out and press the energy all the way down and out through the root chakra, the base of the spine, it clears. And then just for a moment, you'll take your hands and place them over your ears. You'll notice what happens now. And then place one hand right over the front of your throat. You could kind of cup your throat right where your vocal cords are. And place your other hand on top of your heart. Here you could just very gently hum, just a little to feel the vibration in your throat sound. And then feel the beating of your own heart. Noticing these vibrations and pulsations in the body. And whether it's calming or brings some anxiety. And then from here, draw both hands together in front of your heart. I invite you to set an intention for your practice today. It could just be to be very present to all of your senses, or to maybe give yourself permission to withdraw, right? To turn inward, to turn it on, to hit the pause button on all of the sensory overload and stimulation and information that we're taking in every second of the day. And we'll begin our class and seal in our intentions with 3 deep cleansing breaths. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Let it go with a sigh. 2 more like that. And gently bow your head to your heart. Slowly open your eyes, release your hands, we're going to take our legs up the wall just for a couple of minutes. So to do this, you'll come to sit with one hip up against the wall, and if you want a little cushion, you can always use a blanket. Yourself a little padding. So you'll come to sit and lean back on your hands, knees bent and feet on the ground, as close as you can kind of manage to the wall, and then as gracefully as possible, which yourself. You're gonna lean back, swing your legs up, pivot around, and come to lay on your back with your legs up the wall. And then from here, you may have to scooch yourself a little closer to the wall or a little further away, depending on the tightness in your hamstrings. And then let your body get heavy on the ground, the parts of yourself that are touching the earth. Letting your spine settle down, letting your shoulders drop back and down, allowing your pelvis to be heavy and grounded, rooted to the earth. You can have your arms down by your sides with your palms face up. You can place your hands on your body. Sometimes it feels really good to take the arms overhead. So tune into what feels best for you. And then bring your awareness to the soles of your feet. So in the bottoms of our feet, we have little chakras, little energy centers, and whether or not we're aware of it, we're picking up energy all day from the earth, from the ground, from other people, from our environment. And this is just such a great pose to kind of cleanse out that energy that doesn't belong to us. So as you breathe in, imagine that you draw in a golden, healing white light down through the soles of your feet and into your legs. And as you breathe out, that energy moves down through the body and out through the crown of your head. So kind of an opposite flow than we did when we were seated. But still the same concept, drawing in new, vibrant, healing energy and allowing it to move out that which is stuck, stagnant, or does not belong to us. So a sense that we don't discuss all that much is that sixth sense, our intuition. That part of us that's tuned in to energy. And we all have that. And sometimes we're just not aware of how much we're being affected by that which isn't ours. So just take a few more cleansing breaths here. Then bend your knees and slide your feet down the wall. Just pause here. With your feet on the wall, your knees bent in towards your body. Take a few more breaths. Feel the sensation of the wall on your feet. And then hug your knees into your chest. You can give yourself a little hug here, a little act of self-care. Before you roll to your right side, then gently make your way all the way up, coming to all fours. So here you'll set yourself up in a tabletop position. Knees are under your hips or slightly behind, wrists are under your shoulders. Draw your low belly in just slightly to protect your low back, so you're not starting out in this really big arch with the low back. And then melt the space right behind your heart. So draw your shoulder blades onto your back and relax your shoulders away from your ears. See if you could keep that as you move into cat-cow. So as you inhale, you arch your spine, take your gaze up. As you exhale, round your back. Draw the belly in, pull the ribs in, chin to your chest. And flow here with your breath. And perhaps you play with the practice of Pratyhara. Maybe you can close your eyes and notice what changes when we withdraw that sense. And for some of us, this can be very calming, right? Just closing the eyes and bringing our awareness inwards. But for some, if there's been a lot of trauma or if the nervous system is particularly overactivated, then that can bring a lot of anxiety. And if that's the case, then you just keep your eyes open and see if you could keep the gaze soft. Just a few more breaths like this. Inhale, come back to neutral and find child's pose. Take your knees wide, big toes together, send your hips back towards your heels and walk your arms out in front of you. Bring your forehead to the earth. If your forehead doesn't come down to the ground, you could use a block or you could stack your fists and rest your forehead like that. And one of the many reasons that child's pose is so calming and a resting pose and this safe space we're encouraged to come into anytime in our practice is because there's an inherent sense of Pratyhara here, this inherent darkness. As we bring our heads to the earth, into this safe, dark space where the front of our body feels protected, where it's a little easier to turn inward. Continue to melt your chest down to the ground, right? Opening up that tight upper back, which will in turn help the shoulders. And from here, walk your hands over to the right until you get a stretch through your left side body. Breathe space between each of your ribs, opening up those little intercostal muscles. Inhale, come back through center and then walk your hands over to the left until you get a stretch through the right side body. Notice if your jaw started to tense up. If you could create a little space between the lower jaw and the upper jaw. Inhale, come back through center. And then walk your hands in, coming back into tabletop. And here, we're going to do this exercise that's called snow leopard paws. So you imagine that your hands are like big, thick paws, and you spread your fingers wide. And then you're just going to lift up one hand and imagine that your mat is snow and you're a snow leopard. And you softly and gently place your paw down and do the other side. So it's just kind of like this rocking back and forth, lifting up the hands and seeing if you could gently soften the weight down. Really feel the mat beneath you, feel that your hand is spread wide, and see if you could make the landing of each hand a little bit softer. Like you're a snow leopard, just softly padding through the snow so that you won't be seen or heard. Finding that calm stillness. And then we'll keep this kind of flow and movement back and forth, but we'll add in a twist. So as you pick up one hand, you'll twist it open to the sky, and then see if you could bring it down really softly, and do the second side. Moving with your breath and letting the movement of the body be this moving, mindful meditation. Let's do one more each side. Good, and then from here, I'm gonna walk your hands back. Tuck your toes under and see if, now for some of you, you may need some blocks here. It all depends. You're gonna walk your hands back as far as you can, with your toes tucked under. It's called a toe squat. So the idea is to spread all your toes. You could even reach back and kind of spread them all out, even your little pinky toe. So they're tucked under, and some of you might already be like, right, because this could be a lot. So if it's a lot, then maybe you want to be here. But if you could sit back on your heels with the toes spread and then breathe. Everybody doing okay? So this opens up all the meridians in the feet. All of the energetic pathways that flow through the body all end in the feet in different areas of the toes. But it can be really intense. This is not a part of the body we stretch out a lot. Maybe you're feeling it in your hamstrings. So you do your best. And when you have to come out, you can always come out. And then see if you could use the withdrawal of senses to kind of be here for a few more breaths. Closing your eyes, perhaps, drawing the awareness back and down. Hearing the aha of your breath. Three more breaths. And then you'll walk your hands forward, point your toes back, give yourself just a minute here. And then you can come into downward facing dog. And then downward dog, paddle out your legs if that feels good on your body, bending one knee and sending the opposite heel towards the earth. Press into your hands, into your snow leopard paws. Bring more weight to the inner edges of your hands. Your index finger, your thumb mound. And then stretch back, lengthen through your spine. See if you could find external rotation in your shoulders by imagining that you're trying to hide your armpits from the person next to you. If that makes sense, then cool. And if it doesn't, then you don't worry about it. A few more breaths here. Then inhale and come forward to a high plank, a high push-up. Then you can bring your knees to the ground. It's not necessary, but if you want to bring your knees to the ground, this is a more gentle class, then you can. And then you'll bring your chest slightly forward, draw your shoulder blades onto your back, and resist the heads of your arm bones and your shoulders away from the ground as you lower yourself all the way down to your belly. Yes, so keep your shoulders lifted, good. Point your toes straight back. Press the tops of the feet down into the ground. Heart moves forward and up into cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, walk your feet forward to meet your hands. And exhale as you fold out over your legs. You can bend your knees here. And in fact, we'll all do that. So feel your feet a little wider, as wide as your hips. Keep your knees slightly bent and soft. Grab onto opposite elbow tips and let your torso and your head hang. You're like a rag doll here. You could even sway side to side. Letting gravity help create more space and length in the spine, in the neck. Maybe close your eyes and breathe or feel the sensation of the air on your skin as you sway side to side. Release the clasp of your hands. Bring your hands back down to your mat or use blocks. And then from here, you'll walk your hands over to your right leg and just bow over your right leg. Knees could still be a little soft. Walk your hands back to your center and then over to the left. Bow over your left leg. See what I'm talking about? Inhale, come back to your center. And then soften your knees if you have straightened your legs. So keep your knees bent. And then slowly round up through the spine, stacking one vertebrae on top of the other. Letting your head come up last. And then pause here in Tadasana, mountain pose. Maybe you just feel the sensation of blood in the body as blood moves back down from your head into your torso and your limbs. And then bring your hands together in front of your heart. As you inhale, sweep the arms up, reach up, lengthen up. As you exhale, swan dive forward and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway to a flat back. Exhale, take a big step back with your left leg. Coming into a high lunge. So high lunge is right knees over your right ankle. Your feet are on like railroad tracks here. Draw your right hip back. Press your left thigh high to the sky. See if you could bend a little more into your front knee. Front thigh comes parallel to the ground or moving towards that. Then keep your left hand down and inhale, sweep your right arm up as you twist. Then bend your right elbow, bring your hand to the front of your shoulder. And curl your shoulder back. Yes, open up the chest, open up the heart. And then you could extend your arms straight up. Or if you want to modify this, if you bind in your practice, you could do that now. And breathe. And when the pose starts to become more challenging, more difficult to stay and to be, bring your awareness to what you can feel. Feel your feet on the ground, feel the air on your skin. Bring your awareness to the sound of your breath, the sound of the studio. What do you see? Exhale, release, step back into downward facing dog. Options here to flow through vinyasa, to stay in down dog, or to come into child pose. We'll all meet back in downward facing dog. Inhale, step or jump your feet forward, and exhale as you fold. Press down into your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bow forward and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, big step back with your right leg. The left knee is over the left ankle. Your feet are on these railroad tracks. Hug the legs in towards each other. So if your ankle is back at all behind your knee, it's not good for your knee joint. So this may mean that you have to maybe walk your hands over like this to really step your foot up. You know, it's not about how we get there, it's that we get there. So until your knee is over your ankle, then from there, press the right thigh up, hug the legs in towards each other, lengthen through the spine. Right hand stays down, left arm reaches up. So when we extend our extremities in yoga, we often think about the movement coming from the hand, right? We take our hand down and up, and we kind of bypass what's happening in the shoulder. So this is why I'm asking you to remediate a little bit, bend your elbow, bring your hand to the head of your arm, curl your shoulder back, open up the heart, and then from there, extend the arm. Breathe. And if you found the bind on the first side, you could do that again here on the second. Then the longer we're here and the more challenging this becomes on the physical body to hold maybe what's an uncomfortable shape. That's when the real yoga practice starts, right? Where we have to start working through the mind, working to stay present, focusing on this moment, this breath. Exhale and release. Downward facing dog. Same options here. You can stay in down dog. You can flow through vinyasa. This time we'll all meet in child's pose. And in child's pose, you take a beat, you take a moment, a pause, coming back to center, and back to your breath, noticing the sensations in the body. From here, make your way into downward facing dog once again. Right leg lifts as you inhale, lunge it forward as you exhale. Now pivot your back heel down, find heel to arch alignment. When you feel grounded and stable through your legs, cartwheel your arms up, coming into warrior two. Bring the center of your head right over your tailbone. So this typically means leaning less over the front thigh and instead bringing the left rib cage back. Keep your gaze right over your right middle finger. Flip your palms, draw your shoulder blades onto your back, Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Keep that and turn your palms back. We'll find a little flow here. Flip your front palm. Inhale, reverse your warrior. And exhale into side angle. Right forearm comes to your right thigh, left arm out in line with your ear. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, side angle. Three more like this. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, cartwheel your arms down, downward facing dog. Optional vinyasa. From downward facing dog, as you inhale, take your left leg to the sky. Exhale, lunge your left foot forward. Pivot your back heel down, find heel to arch alignment. When you're ready, cartwheel your arms up, warrior two. So again, center of the head, right over the tailbone. Arms extended right out, in line with the shoulders. Beautiful. Now flip your palms. Draw your shoulder blades onto the back of the heart. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Keep that space. Flip your palms back down. Check in with your jaw, with your tongue, with the areas where we start to grip and control and think, if I just hold on tight enough, I'll get through it. And instead, see where you can soften and find a little sense of calm. Flip your front palm. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, side angle. Flowing with your breath. Three more of these. Reverse your warrior and pause. Then exhale, cartwheel your arms down, downward facing dog. Option to take a final vinyasa here. We'll all meet back in down dog. And this time, walk your hands back to meet your feet. Toe heel your feet as wide as your hips once again. Bend your knees and find ragdoll. This time, do the opposite clasp of the hands on the elbows. If you're not sure which one you did the first time, just whatever you typically normally go to, do the opposite. Let your head hang, maybe you shake it out. And sway side to side, feel the air in your skin. Notice what happens if you close your eyes and what that does to our balance. Maybe you feel a little unsteady, and then you keep your eyes open. And then release the clasp of your hands. Keep your knees soft, little bend, and then slowly round up, stacking one vertebrae on top of the other till you come all the way back up to stand. Once you arrive, take a couple of shoulder rolls. Take your shoulders up, back, and down. And then go the other way. And shake it out. We're going to come into standing L pose at the wall. So you'll come to face the wall. And basically, it's coming into down dog at the wall. So you're going to walk your hands down the wall until your hands are in line with your shoulders, and you may have to step your feet back. So you want to make a 90-degree angle with your body. Your chest parallel to the ground. And you find where you need your hands to be in order to do that. Then press, no, Diane, you were good before. Yeah, then press your hands into the wall. So straighten out your arms. Soften right behind the heart. Melt your heart down towards the ground. So imagine shoulder blades on the back. Extend the crown of the head towards the wall. Yes. Couple of breaths here. And then if this is a lot on your back or a lot on your hamstrings, you could just stay just like this. Or you could bring a little more weight into your left foot, and from your inner right thigh, extend your right leg back. Keep pressing your hands into the wall. Toes point down towards the ground. Arms stay straight. Breathe. Keep reaching the crown of the head towards the wall. And exhale, release. Then second side, bring all the weight into the right foot from your inner left thigh. Extend your left leg back. Keep pressing into the wall, reach the crown of the head forward. Exhale, release. And then walk your feet in. Come to stand. You can still be facing the wall. Bring your arms down by your sides. Into Tadasana, mountain pose. Close your eyes. Feel the beating of your own heart. Feel any sensations of temperature, heat in the body. And then you'll slowly make your way down onto your back. Come all the way down onto your back. Take the soles of your feet together, knees wide, one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. Feel the ground beneath you. Feel your breath fill up the space underneath your hands. If this is too much on the hips, you could take blocks and place them underneath your outer thighs. A few more breaths here. And then inhale your knees back up to center.
Hug your right knee into your chest. Extend your left leg long on the ground. Take your right knee in your left hand. Bring your right arm out to the side, either straight out in line with your shoulder or more likely bent in a cactus arm. Elbow in line with your shoulder, wrist over your elbow, and the back of your hand resting on the ground. Take an inhale here, and as you exhale, twist. Guide the knee across the body, over to the left. You can gaze out over your right shoulder. You may want to pick up your hips and move them an inch to the right. And you could stay just like this, or you could come into cat tail twist, where you bend your left knee, bring that foot back, and reach down with your right hand for your left foot. And if that sounds complicated and too pretzel-y, then you just stay where you are. It's a big shoulder opener. So if you're finding that the shoulder is really tight, you could even bend your elbow and rest your hand on your rib cage, your right hand on your right rib cage. If you have the cattail twist, you can release that. And then we'll all inhale, come back up through center. Hug both knees into your chest. And then once again, soles of the feet together, knees wide. Supta Baddha Konasana, one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. And pause here. Inhale, knees back to center. Hug your left knee into your chest, extend your right leg long. Take your left knee into your right hand, left arm comes out to the side. Take a breath in here, and as you exhale, twist. Guide your knee across your body over to the right. You roll onto the outer right hip. The pinky toe edge of your right foot comes down to the mat. Maybe you pick up your hips and scooch them an inch or two to the left, so that eventually your low back becomes perpendicular to the ground, straight up and down from the ground. If your shoulder's popping up, you could rest your hand on your rib cage. And if you want to take the cattail twist on the second side, you'll bend your right knee, grab your foot. If you have the clasp with your foot, you can release that. And we'll all inhale, come back up through center, hug both knees into your chest. You can give yourself a massage here on your low back, making circles in one direction and then the other. Then take your knees wide, soles of the feet up towards the sky. Grab onto the pinky toe edges of your feet for happy baby. If that's not available, you could always grab your ankles or your calves Or sometimes it's nice to wrap your arms around the backs of your thighs and clasp hands. And then see if you could move your tailbone towards the earth to get your pelvis onto the ground a little more. Maybe some of you could find a little space between your low back and the mat. Knees keep drawing down towards the ground. And you could stay still or you could rock back and forth. And here, just notice the quality of your nervous system. If you feel more calm, more grounded than when you first came onto your mat. And perhaps the practice for the rest of the day is just to notice, how do you take in information? We all have a different level of sensitivity of what overstimulates us, of what we need, of what we're tuned into and picking up on. And it can be really powerful to ask ourselves, is this mine? Does this belong to me? What can I do to bring myself back to neutral, to find more level ground from which to move and build? And then from here, hug your knees into your chest. We'll set up for Shavasana. If there's any other stretch that your body needs, feel free to take it here. Also, please use as many props as you like for Shavasana. You can cover yourself with some blankets. You can use a bolster under your knees. If you have a shirt that you're not using, maybe you put it over your eyes. This is where eye pillows can be a really nice way to practice Pratyhara. And then once you feel set up in a position where you could relax for a period of time, let your body and your bones get really heavy. Let your feet gently open to the sides. If your arms are down by your sides, turn your palms to face up so that your thumbs roll away from the body and take your shoulder blades onto the back. Let's all take a deep breath in and let it go with a sigh. Make a little space between your lower jaw and your upper jaw. Drop your tongue down to the lower palate. Widen the corners of your eyes and let your eyeballs descend back into their sockets. Smooth out the skin on your face. Let your belly be soft. And your breath flow effortlessly in and out of the body. Give yourself permission here to fully surrender and to release anything which is no longer serving you. Completely let go into Shavasana. Very gently begin to deepen your breath. Draw awareness back into your body. Feel your body on the ground. The sensations on your skin. Notice what you hear. Notice the taste in your mouth. Slowly start to move your fingers and your toes and feel those sensations in your body. And then very slowly start to blink your eyes open, letting in light, color, sight. When you're ready, hug your knees into your chest. Gently roll to your right side and make your way back up to find a comfortable seat. And once you arrive, once again, draw your awareness inward as you close your eyes. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Give yourself space to feel whatever it is that you feel right now in this moment and to be exactly as you are before you go back out into the world, assuming all of the roles and identities and ways that you show up for yourself and for others. And just for a moment, breathe into this space in your heart that's your true self and nature, this bright light within you that never dulls and is always a light. Call back your intention that you set at the beginning of class. Hold it here close to your heart. And we'll seal in our intentions one final time and end our class with a final cleansing breath. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Gently bow your head to your heart. The light within me recognizes and honors this very same light in each one of you. Namaste. Thank you all so much for your practice. Have a great week. Be gentle with yourselves. We're still in the middle of eclipse season, so it's been an intense one. Give yourself some grace. And hopefully I'll see you next week. Thank you. Thank you. Bye, guys. Bye, Susan. Bye, Debbie. Have a great week.